Hi, my name is Aerica Karriem, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Motivating Mondays for Mom. And I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Julianne Canterella, and she is New Jersey's Matchmaker. Hi, Julianne. How are you?
Hi, Aerica. I'm well, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for accepting my offer. I want to ask you, why matchmaking? How did you start that?
It's so funny. I often say that I didn't search to be a matchmaker. Matchmaking found me. I can share with you that I actually have my master's in social work, and I'm a former therapist. And I worked as a therapist within different settings with different populations for over 11 years before I got into matchmaking. And I worked with really heavy populations. I worked with hospice dying patients. I worked with dying cancer patients. And then for a long stretch, I worked with SPMI, which is severely, persistently mentally ill patients in it's an outpatient psychiatric setting. And I'm married, and I have 3 children. And after the birth of my second child, I was home. I wanted to go back to work part-time, and I wanted to utilize my education and my skills. And my husband actually came home and showed me this article in the newspaper for a small matchmaking company in Manhattan. I live in northern New Jersey, obviously by my company's name, that was hiring social workers because of our assessment skills, our networking skills, and our people skills. And this is who they were hiring for their company to be matchmakers. So they were really, their perspective was to hire professionals, not just someone off the street who said, this is what I want to do for a living. It was really people who had an understanding of people, people's psyches, what makes people work, what can make a successful relationship work. So I went to work for them for some time, and I was one of their highest producing matchmakers part-time, and then I had a third child, and I didn't want to be schlepping in and out of Manhattan, and my husband said to me, okay, you got to bring this to New Jersey. And I looked at him like he had 6 heads, and I was like, what are you talking about? I've never run a business before. And he said, you'll learn as you go. You have a talent. You are great with people. And he knew that my motivation behind this work that I do is my relationship with him. We've been together for 22 years. He is the absolute best friend I have ever had in my entire life. I'm blessed. I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful friends. My family's fabulous, great, but my relationship with my husband, I know, is very unique, very special, different, and I'm blessed. And I don't take it for granted. I have girlfriends who tell me all the time, they're like, you don't take him for granted, and I'm like, not at all. I mean, I'm human, and there are some days that I'm sure I do, but I wake up every day knowing that he's fantastic and he's wonderful, and I know that there are other men out there like him who are looking for someone special to share their life with. And that is one of the ways that New Jersey's Matchmaker was born. I can tell you that my area of expertise in matchmaking and date coaching, because I do a lot of date coaching as well, and that's a very boutique service that I offer. Not only do I do personalized matchmaking, which is very different from a dating service. A dating service is where both men and women come and they pay, and you kind of get matched up to whomever's in the database, whereas I take on one client. I do an in-depth assessment of them. And then I find out their morals, their values, their vision of a relationship. Some people just want marriage, some want commitment, long-term commitment. So I really find out who my client is, and then I set out to do a selective search for them. Then I have people who come to me, for date coaching, and a typical date coaching client is for me is typically someone over 40, between the ages of 40 and 68, but I have a success story with a 75-year-old date coaching client who found someone through working with me. And it's very boutique because I consider myself a dating strategist. I help them create opportunity to meet someone. I also help them step out of their comfort zone, and I really keep them on task and accountable to remain dedicated to the process of meeting someone. And it could be very hard, and dating in a vacuum is extremely difficult. So when you have a coach and someone who helps you, you really are more apt to be successful. In the dating coaching, I have my clients utilize all areas, singles events, volunteer, and online dating. And a lot of people go, oh, online dating, it's awful. Well, I have 3 clients who are one who just got married on July 27th, and 2 are getting married in the spring of 2014 who went through my date coaching program. When you go through my date coaching program, I have 3 photographers that I work with. They are contracted to me. And, they get a photo shoot, they get an online profile that reflects their individuality, and then they coach with me. And I really help them move forward and meet someone. And I find that's as successful as my matchmaking. So that's matchmaking. I don't think I took a breath there.
Okay. Okay, so 2 things I wanted to say was you have an awesome story, and I love when you have support in your relationship, and that you don't take for granted, that you have a loving husband and a supportive husband. The second thing I wanted to say is that I love when people have testimonials. So that is amazing in itself.
Yeah, I call them my success stories. If you go to my website, you can see. And I actually have another one coming because I just had someone contact me to tell me she'll be getting married. Also, there's no date set, so I don't want to say spring or what have you. And she is my youngest client. She's 37, so at this time, date coaching client.
Okay. Now, how do you balance out being a mother and a business owner? Is there such a thing called total balance, or are you winging it, or how are you going with that?
Okay, so I think a personality flaw of mine is being very transparent and very honest, and I'm going to tell you that I have not found the balance. And I don't think for most people, I don't like to speak for everybody, but I really don't think there's such thing as having it all. I just don't think you can have it. I think it's a sliding scale. And I think you have to be realistic about who gets what when. And sometimes my business takes priority when I have to do a singles event or a workshop or go out and meet a client. Or my kids take priority, or my husband takes priority, or the family in general takes priority. One of the good things about having a supportive family is you have help. The bad things family is, and you are expected to be there. You have to be present, and you have to, step up to the plate. Not a bad thing, but if something has to take the back seat, it will. So if my business has to take the back seat, it will, because family comes first.
That's right. I want to tell you that I totally agree. While all of us mothers are trying to have total balance, there is this thing called organization. But as a mother, things come to you. They come at you, and you just never know. So I totally agree with you when you say sometimes things have to take the back burner. Some things are president. Some of them are first. You have to put what your priorities are. So I totally get it. But what I tell people in business is that if you want to have a successful business, then you can't put your kids first all the time, because that's how some of us, and I will speak for myself, in the beginning wasn't able to make the type of money that I wanted to make because I was putting the kids first and the family first all the time. So I agree with you. You have to balance it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, when I started in the business, I've started slowly. And the positive thing I have is that, my husband's working, he has health insurance. So I'm building my business slowly. And as my kids are maturing, my oldest is 13, I have a 10-year-old, and then I have a 7-year-old. And as they're maturing, I'm feeling less guilty and a little bit more confident in heading out and saying, okay, my 13-year-old can help my 10-year-old. And we always have someone who can kind of help along. I will share with you, I have a child with a severe chronic illness. My middle daughter has cystic fibrosis. So part of life is life happens. So again, if she becomes sick and hospitalized and or needs treatments, everything else has to fade away. And my daughter is my priority, obviously. We've been lucky in that, she's been pretty healthy, especially within the last 3 years. And we have had less and less hospitalizations. I mean, we really haven't had any in the last 3 years. And but I'm in a situation where life happens, and I have the kids. I have a child with chronic illness, which can be very, very, it's a life-threatening illness. I mean, laying it on the line, and her treatments are extensive. She takes multiple medications to stay healthy. So life isn't easy, but it's wonderful, and I do what I can.
Now, let me ask you, outside of being a mother, give me 3 characteristics that you have.
You mean in terms of like being I'm always a caretaker. I mean, that's just who I am. That's part of who I am. Even if I wasn't a mother, I mean, the original profession that I chose was social work. So I'm always a caretaker. I consider myself a pretty positive person. I think that's something that keeps me going every day I wake up. I really try and embrace every day. Not perfect. There are days I'm like, oh boy, if I see other people who are moving forward or getting clients and seem to be more successful than I am, that does tend to, bother me. Quite frankly, I kind of distance myself from them and really try to focus on my business and focus on moving my business forward. So positive, caretaker, and I'm failing I want it to be good. My third characteristic. I mean, I consider myself a loving. Sure.
Okay, I was going to tell you this, that we all have flaws. So if you have a characteristic that you may need to improve, anything.
That's good. Of course, I'm always trying to think of the positive. Right. How wonderful I am. Because I am. I lack confidence. I think that's the biggest thing. I think there are times, and probably in my intelligence, I'm there's scouts out there who's smarter than I am. And that's that little voice in the back of my head, that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You just have to put that little voice in control.
Yeah.
Right.
I try not to let it have too much control.
Right, absolutely. And another thing is that when a person lacks, maybe the smartness, then that's why you hire somebody that's smarter than you. So this is for my mothers out there, is that if you feel like that you are lacking something in your business or you lacking something in life, you just you hire yourself a coach, or you hire an employee that knows more than you, or you get a mentor, or something like that.
Yeah, a mentor I would definitely suggest, but as you're speaking about hiring someone else, and it's just so funny, another flaw I know that I have is I'm extremely controlling, especially when it comes to my business. And I would say that I don't believe there's anybody out there who I would feel confident enough at this point to turn things over to. So but I'm still in my mind, I'm still somewhat in the infancy stage. I mean, I know I've been in business for at least 3 years now, and I have a lot of successes behind me, but until I really feel that, okay, I'm at a point where I can turn this over, and it's something I do struggle with, is the controlling piece. I think when my kids were young, I was so much more controlling. I'm less as they've developed, and I'm seeing the outcome of their life. I'm much happier with where they are, and I'm less controlling.
Okay, good. Now, I ask every mother this: what is your pet peeve, or what ticks you off in life?
In life, oh boy, manners. And it's so funny because I'm like almost like a manners snob. It's like if someone doesn't say please, thank you, excuse me, I feel we're all here for a reason, and it's to help one another and support one another and to acknowledge one another. It's just common courtesy. Living in the North, my family and I drove down to Florida this past summer, a few weeks ago, and we were in South Carolina overnight at a hotel, and my daughters and I went to the breakfast area. My husband and son went first. I was doing my daughter's treatment, and then the three of us went down after. And there were just two lovely, lovely, lovely ladies in the breakfast area. And they were talking with us, and they were engaging us, and, they said to us, have a wonderful day, and a safe trip after they found out about us. And my daughter, Anna, looked at me and she goes, Mommy, they were possibly the nicest people ever. And I just, I said, yeah, they are very lovely. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, anybody out of, the New York, northern New Jersey area. I remember going down South New Jersey, and I went into the CVS, and I was purchasing water when I was doing a workshop. And when I went to the counter, the woman said to me, she goes, hi, how are you? How's your day? And I was like, I actually was like, I looked around, and I'm like, me? And she was like, yeah, I was like, good, how are you? Like, I love to engage people. I love to talk to people, but I also love polite people. So excuse me and thank you and please is really a huge pet peeve of mine. If my kids bring home someone who doesn't say please, excuse me, and thank you, I'm not very happy with them.
Right. So, for all of our ladies that are single and they're looking to get a mate, what is the first sign that they should absolutely run?
Okay. That's a really tough question. And the reason I say that's a tough question is because when you meet someone for the first time, let's say it is for a first date. It's not just a casual encounter in the supermarket. It's a planned date, whether through a matchmaker or through online dating like Match.com. I always tell my clients, don't be so critical. People are very anxious and nervous on a first date. They may not be aware of it. They may have confidence, but first dates are not easy, and first dates don't always turn out that well. So I think you really need to spend time with someone, and always tell my clients they should try and have a second date. Even if the first date isn't that great, but you think there's potential and you definitely find, chemistry is important, obviously. So always give someone a second and potentially a third time or a third date. Anything that doesn't mesh with your value system, I would say run. If it has to be a real true value of yours. Some people it's religion. Some people it's health and wellness. Some people, you don't necessarily have to run, but, maybe, realize that they're not a match for you. It's the values that have to match. Yes, chemistry is important, but chemistry is not everything. And chemistry I've seen develop over time, but just make sure on a core level, your values are matching.
Okay, so you have to be
That's
aligned.
What's going to carry you through.
Right, you have to be aligned with your partner, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the vision of your relationship, again, is someone looking for marriage, or are they looking for commitment? What is it they're looking for? And, I've had so many women say, some men just don't want to get married. And that's fine. And they're upfront with that information. They're very clear from the beginning. But I've seen many women kind of cover their ears and think, oh, that'll change. That'll change. Reality is, that's not going to change. When a man tells you up front that he doesn't want to get married again, listen to what he's saying. I've had so many people or clients prior to working with me think, they hear what they want to hear. Unfortunately, women especially are very good at kind of twisting the words to be what they want to be. But for the most part, I think you have to really make sure your values align.
Okay. Now, with your expertise, have you seen that a lot of people bring baggage in a new relationship, and that's why they don't get married or find someone because of their past experiences, or they have baby mama drama, or, the baggage?
There's always baggage, especially as, my niche tends to be singles over 40. I do work with people under 40, but, you have life experience that's coming with you. You just can't get away from it. I just think that, if people are coming from two different places and have no shared life experiences and they can get each other, that's where the problems happen. Again, I always tell my clients, especially those who are not using matchmaking, who are kind of meeting people organically or online, you're going to come across someone who's going to have baggage. They're going to misrepresent themselves. They're going to tell you something when they're not. That just happens in life. That just happens. They may present themselves one way, and then over time, they're going to show true colors. But it just happens. I think the more open someone is to accepting someone's baggage, if you will, I think the more successful that they will have.
Okay. So I want to thank you so much for coming on with me. How can people get a hold of you?
Okay, they can Google my name, which is Julianne Canterella, or they can Google my business, which is New Jersey's with an S, New Jersey's Matchmaker.com, or they can call me directly at 201-297-7857. And even if they want to just find out more about my business, I will be more than happy to speak with them.
All right. Well, Julianne, thank you so much for coming on with me. It was a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure as well.
Thank you. My name is, again, Aerica Karriem, the Mommy Lifestyle Success Coach. And until next time, you have a blessed week. Bye-bye.